Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Madhava ki jai, Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Supal Gopal du Übersetzer. Thank you. So we speak in English. Thank you for coming. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namamskrita Naram Javam Narottamam Vim Sarasvatim Vyasham Tato Jayamudiriyat Prashavavatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtaki. So today we are reading from the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Creation of the Fourth Order, chapter 21, instructions by Maharaj Prithu, text 13. Yes. So, Ekadashin Mahasatra, Ekadashin Mahasatra, Ekadasin Mahasatra, Ekadasin Mahasatra, Ekadasin Mahasatra, Diksha Tatra Divokaksam, Diksha Tatram Divokasam, Diksha Tatra Divokasam, Diksha Tatram Divokasam, Diksha Tatra Divokasam. Samajo Pramashinam Cha, Samojo Pramashinam Cha, Samojo Pramashinam Cha, Samojo Pramashinam Cha, Samojo Pramashinam Cha, Mojo Pramashinam Cha, Rajashinam Cha Satama, Rajashinam Satama, Rajashinam Cha Satama, Rajashinam Cha Satama. Prabhus, please. Ekadashin Mahasatram, Titra Taktra Divokshasham, Samajo Pramashinam Cha, Rajashinam Cha Satama, Ekadashin Mahasatra, Tatram Divokasham, Shimcha, Ekadashin Mahashatra, Kshatatra Divokasham, Samajo Pramashinam Cha, Rajashinam Cha Satama, Ekadashin Mahasatra, Diksha Tatra Divokasham, Majo Brahmashinam Cha, Rajashinam cha Satama. Ekadashin Mahasatra Diksha Tatra Divokasam Pramoja Brahma Ashinam Cha Rajashana Tatama. Nice. Ekada. Once upon a time, Asit took a vow. Mahasatra, great sacrifice. Diksha, initiation. Tatra, in that function. Diva Oka Sam, of the demigods. Samaja, assembly. Brahma Rishinam, of great saintly brahmanas. Cha, also. Raja Rishinam, of great saintly kings. Cha, also. Satama, the greatest of devotees. Translation. Once upon a time, King Prithu initiated the performance of a great sacrifice, in which great saintly sages, brahmanas, demigods from higher planetary systems, and great saintly kings known as Rajas Rishis all assembled together. Purport. In this verse, the most significant point is that although King Prithu's residential quarters were in India, between the river Ganga and Yamuna, the demigods also participated in the great sacrifice he performed. This indicates that formerly the demigods used to come to this planet. Similarly, great personalities like Arjuna, Yudhishthira, and many others used to visit higher planetary systems. Thus, there was interplanetary communication via suitable airplanes and space vehicles. The translation once more. Once upon a time, King Prithu initiated the performance of a very great sacrifice, in which great saintly sages, brahmanas, demigods from higher planetary systems, and great saintly kings known as Raja Rishis all assembled together. Nice. Om Gyan Dimarandista Kyanjana Salakaya Chakshunvitem Yana Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Staptam Yuna Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karayam Tatati Sapadandikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivaswati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you very much for coming. Usually those who come to the classes I give will know I try to do a practical application. So let's do something different today. As we study the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are some elements sometimes where we read and we're not quite sure, but anyway, we've gone to the next verse then already. But actually when we read, there's that need to try to understand what's happening. And somehow in this purport, Prabhupada writes that what does he write? The most significant point is that the demigods also participated in a great sacrifice he performed. And that this indicates that the demigods used to come to this planet. And it also says that Arjuna, Yudhishthira, and many others used to visit higher planetary systems. And therefore there was what's titled interplanetary communication via suitable airplanes and space vehicles. Now, we'll think about that for a moment, because this is quite a short purport today. I was thinking, okay, what should we talk about today? Interplanetary communication. I thought, okay, why not? So then I found different places in the scriptures which talk about this. Because it's nice to have an understanding on this, because you're like, interplanetary travel, for us, we're used to things like Star Trek or Star Wars, so it's not really for our train. Maybe you are trained more, but, what's going on here, right? Is it a little bit fantastical? What's happening? So this is from the Bhagavad Gita, the introduction, this part. The living entities are traveling from one planet to another, but it is not that we can go to any planet we like merely by a mechanical arrangement. If we decide to go to other planets, there is a process for going there. This is also mentioned. Yanti deva vrata devam pitre yanti pitra vrataha. No mechanical arrangement is necessary if we want interplanetary travel. The Gita instructs. Yanti deva vrata devan. The moon, the sun, and higher planets are called Svagaloka. There are 3 different statuses of planets: higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The Earth belongs to the middle. Very good. Middle planetary system. So Bhagavad Gita informs us how to travel to the higher planetary systems, Devaloka, with a very simple formula. Yanti deva vratra devan. So one need only worship the particular demigod of that particular planet, and in that way go to the moon, the sun, or any of the higher planetary systems. But we're not so much in our line in worship of the demigods. So then we go to Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.45, the purport. Bhishmadev. Bhishmadev was respected both by the human beings and by the demigods. The human beings live on earth, yes, and similar other planets in the Bhur and Bhuva group of planets. But the demigods, they live in the Swa, or heavenly planets. And all of them knew Bhishmadev as a great warrior and devotee of the Lord. Thus Bhishmadev was known all over the universes, and during his time, interplanetary travel was effected by finer methods than the futile endeavors of mechanical spacecraft. When the distant planets were informed of the passing away of Bhishmadev, all the inhabitants from the upper planets, as well as of the earth, dropped showers of flowers to show due respect to the departed great personality. This showering of flowers from heaven is a sign of recognition of great demigods. So just that before we skip too far ahead. So then we've spoken about the 3 different planetary systems. We are here on the Bhu type, and then there is the heavenly planets of Swa, and all the very higher planetary systems are called Devaloka, right? And then it says that Bhishmadev was also known by traveling, but we cannot understand this bit by our futile endeavors of mechanical spacecraft. So basically one could say, okay, I've read it in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can travel in between planets, let's do it, huh? We're not looking in this direction yet, right? But it's good to have an understanding in our philosophy, at least theoretically. There's an understanding that there is a lot of travel in between. That's not really possible yet. However, if we apply it to today's world, I show my age now, but say 20 years back was when, maybe 25 years ago, was again when maybe the internet was just beginning to be introduced. So before then, I don't know if you can imagine the younger ones, a life without internet, right? No, Charles is like looking like no. Like there's nothing like, no WhatsApp, Telegram, None of these, like at all, no phone. Here was a pay phone downstairs, I remember, back then. So if you wanted to call, maybe somebody may pick up the phone. Obviously not. And emails were a new thing. Oh, so 24 new, maybe when some of you were born, right? It was a new thing. But there was no communication. So the most you would do, say I had family in India, and every 2 or 3 streets, there would be maybe one person with a phone, right? Maybe. And then they would try to call you. We were lucky we had a landline, on one place where you could be. They would call, and maybe after some time you would hear crackly connection, and you would be able to speak to that person. And you were very joyful if you managed to get through to this person. Ramananda told me also when in his childhood, not everybody had a phone in their home. Mostly it was one person in the street or like this. But that was your communication. Nobody knew what internet was, 30 years ago. So now there was some member also, because we have Simha Mela coming up, Simha Sena. And he said, sorry, Gopi Gita, but I've decided to go back home. I was like, okay, where's home? It's like, okay, in Dubai. Okay. But could we speak? I'm like, sure, we can talk. So he did not just a phone call, a video call. I was like, well, I've never been to Dubai. So suddenly I was in Dubai, because it's completely different. It's like built up, but not like India, but quite modern. But you feel that there is some other culture as well going on. And he was speaking to me, and one can also go and show the deities. So if you're on the phone call, if someone's not able to come, you say, no, here you can be with Lord Nrsingadev too. So you're able to communicate, although he's on the other side, don't quite know where Dubai is, but on the other side of the planet almost, right? Very far away. So we're not able to travel physically, but certainly our thoughts and our mind, even our emotions can go already to another place. Before, if you talk about civilization, even around 40, 50 years ago, just the people here would be where you were. You've traveled from Berlin, was it Berlin? All the way down, in one day, right? Before this would have taken a few weeks. And communication would have been either telepathic or not at all. So we don't really understand what's going on here. We're talking about at another time, people could travel from a whole different planetary system downwards, right? But some things you can understand in the last 20, 30 years have already shifted. They say the whole way that we see things will change. As soon it will not be a case of having people going into offices or so anymore at all. You will be communicating, if you want, to someone in Australia or in India or some other things to get things done. So some way of understanding that there is some change. However, it can make us feel quite small when we understand that this level of communication is nothing like this other type of next level, interplanetary travel. I have from Vidura. Saintly persons like Vidura must be treated as well as a denizen from heaven. In those days, denizens of heavenly planets used to visit homes like that of Maharaj Yudhishthira. And sometimes persons like Arjunas and others used to visit higher planets. Narada Muni, we've heard, is a spaceman who can travel unrestrictedly, not only within the material universes, but also in the spiritual universes. Even Narada used to visit the places of Maharaj Yudhishthira, and what to speak of other celestial demigods. It is only the spiritual culture of the people concerned that makes interplanetary travel possible, even in the present body. Maharaj Yudhishthira therefore received Vidura in a manner of reception offered to the demigods. That's from the purport Srimad Bhagavatam 1:13-14. So we have many people, Bhishmadev, Arjuna, Vidura. We know about Narada Muni, but it's good to understand that too. He's not alone in being able to travel apparently to different places. This is now from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.16.3. It appears that planetary travel by the denizens of higher planets is easy. In many statements in Bhagavatam, we have observed that the demigods from heaven used to visit this earth to attend sacrifices performed by influential kings and emperors. So we hear this, here with King Prithu. Herein also we find, that during the time of the whole sacrifice of Maharaj Parikshit, the demigods from other planets were visible even to the common man due to the sacrificial ceremony. The demigods are not generally visible to the common man as the Lord is not visible. But as the Lord, by his causeless mercy, descends to be visible to the common man, similarly, the demigods also become visible to the common man by their own grace. Although celestial beings are not visible to the naked eyes of the inhabitants of this earth, it was due to the influence of Maharaj Parikshit that the demigods also agreed to be visible. This indicates that also maybe the demigods and other celestial beings are also here, but not visible to the eye. It's not explicitly said, but it's implied right here. The kings used to spend lavishly during such sacrifice as a cloud distributes rain. Yeah? Okay, but then this is more on this. So interesting here again. We're saying that due to influence of Maharaj Parikshit, that demigods also agreed to be visible. Also an interesting point to understand, that there may be higher beings here, but just not visible to our eye. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.19.18. Even up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, there were interplanetary communications, and the death of Maharaj Parikshit, fasting unto death to attain salvation, reach the higher planets in the sky where the intelligent demigods live. The demigods are more luxurious than human beings, but all of them are obedient to the orders of the Supreme Lord. There is no one in the heavenly planets who is an atheist or non-believer. Interesting, huh? Everyone above there are no atheists or non-believers. Thus, any devotee of the Lord on the surface of the earth is also praised by them. And in the case of Maharaj Parikshit, they were greatly delighted and thus gave tokens of honor by scattering flowers over the earth and beating celestial drums. A demigod takes pleasure in seeing someone go back to Godhead. He is also pleased with a devotee of the Lord, so much so that his Adi-Devic powers, he may help the devotees in all respects. And by their actions, the Lord is pleased with them. There is an invisible chain of complete cooperation between the Lord, the demigods, and the devotee of the Lord on earth. Interesting, huh? Also, so we hear as one of our offenses, we should not disrespect the demigods. Sometimes in earlier days of preaching, the demigods were pushed aside. I guess it's sometimes from Indian cultural tradition. It's a little mixed, a little kitschy, a little bit like, okay, you can worship Ganesh or Shiva or this or the other. So sometimes in terms of preaching, to really understand the ultimate truth, we understand that Krishna, right, is the supreme personality of Godhead. However, you understand here, when it talks about a cooperation between the Lord, the demigods, and the devotees of the Lord, and there's like a flow. It's like almost like a family. It's not a case of out of the way. Actually, demigods are dear servants of the Lord. Okay. Then we have Srimad Bhagavatam 5.1.8. It appears from this description there is regular interplanetary travel between the planets of the demigods. Another significant point is that there is a planet covered mostly by great mountains, one of which is Gandharva Gandhamadana hill. 3 great personalities, Priyavrata, Narada, and Swayambhuva Manu, were sitting on this hill. According to Brahma Samhita, each universe is filled with different planetary systems, and every system has a unique opulence. For example, on Siddha Loka, does anyone know? All the residents are very advanced in the powers of mystic yoga. They can fly from one planet to another without airplanes or other flying machines. Similarly, the residents of Gandharva Loka are expert in musical science, and those on Satya Loka are all great saints. The interplanetary system undoubtedly exists, and residents of different planets may go from one to another. It's quite far out, what? So we have Siddha Loka. They are advanced in the powers of mystic yoga and can fly apparently from one planet to the other. Gandharva Loka, expert in musical science. One can only imagine how heavenly such a sound, vibration is there. And Satya Loka, where they're all great saints. All the sadhus are there. On this earth, however, we have not invented any machine that can go directly from one planet to another, although an unsuccessful attempt has been made to go directly to the moon. So again, we're brought down. You say in English, you have this saying, brought down to earth. Huh? This means, okay, well, where are we? No special planets. We sometimes hear of a rocket being made, and then unfortunately the people die, or the rocket sort of blows up on their system. So none of this advanced system. In one sense, for many of us, it's hard to believe in something that we cannot see or understand. But actually, that is part of our faith in one sense. So when we're going and we experience the Lord in our lives, sometimes people will also say that they understood that the Lord helped. And who knows how many helped the Lord, be it the demigods or celestial beings that also help us, right? We are sometimes empowered. In this world, it's quite common to talk about the other side, ghosts and unnatural beings, and the negative side, right? This all of us have probably heard of, that you hear. But on the other side, we can understand that there is also positive beings in there that are also around, right? Okay, my last quote. This is from Easy Journey to Other Planets. It's also a wonderful name of a book, right? Easy Journey to Other Planets. I think this was the book where, which Ramananda was given, if I'm right, on a street as a skeptical young man. Easy Journey to Other Planets. And he thought, I will read this to show that it's not real, that it's not. So he read Easy Journey to Other Planets. True. What's the title in German? Easy Journey to Other Planets? What was the title? Huh? No, bitte? From Roman side. Aha. It's different, huh? They change it. But here is Easy Journey to Other Planets. A quote from there. In these days, when people are trying to go to the moon, people should not think that Krishna consciousness is concerned with something old-fashioned. When the world is progressing to reach the moon, we are chanting Hare Krishna. But people should not misunderstand and assume that we are lagging behind modern scientific advancement. We have already passed all scientific advancement. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that man's attempt to reach higher planets is not new. Newspaper headlines read, man's first steps on the moon. But the reporters do not know that millions and millions of men went there and came back. This is not the first time. This is an ancient practice. In Bhagavad Gita 8:16, it is clearly stated, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avatino Arjuna. My dear Arjuna, even if you go to the highest planetary system, which is called Brahma Loka, you will have to come back. Therefore, interplanetary travel is not new. It is known to the Krishna conscious devotees. So therefore, I thought it was interesting to show about, to talk about this. By the way, if anyone wants this link, it's very interesting because there are different pictures of different, I suppose, spiritual spaceships or something that were constructed, which I'm sure has some basis around. It's interesting to understand that we are not in just some traditional pathway in our approach to Krishna consciousness, or that Krishna consciousness is a science that is just something way back and outdated. It's something which is modern and new and relevant, but also has deep roots. So it's something which is relevant for today, and such things where we see, if you go to the modern world outside, or you sit in a conversation in a city with other people, they will talk about different elements, be it of traveling or this. About 20 years back, maybe more, we had the Concorde. Most of you, the Concorde. This was a high-flying aircraft from, say, London to America. It could get there almost in half the time. So one thought that this would be the new way that you would go. Unfortunately, it was very expensive to travel on this Concorde, and then it crashed. So the people who passed away on such a ship, basically blew all the, I think, insurance of such a system, and then the whole Concorde fell apart. So even in Kali Yuga, one makes attempts, and one is so-called advanced, but it's not really working, These systems seem a little bit more normal and infallible, just as we would take a bus, to Valkirchen or something like this. That's also quite difficult sometimes. but there's just, it's just one step to imagine, okay, the demigods would just have to quickly arrange, okay, we'll just go and visit them down there. Oh, this great personality is there, King Prithu, let us just go for the yajna. Oh, this is when we want to arrange a trip. So this weekend, from tomorrow, we have Simha Mela. Even to begin to think, to arrange, okay, where's everyone going? How are they getting here? And we have one of the people behind Simha Sena, Shrishti, coming, and she arranged from a few people to 21 devotees are coming from around Cologne area. But this huge arrangements, a van, a driver, who'll get there, how do they get there, will they manage to budget this? From this it seems like it is a bit more simple amongst the demigods, like they somehow can travel here and back. And they are somehow with us, although mostly not visible. And in our understanding of our practice, sometimes it's just useful. It's because Prabhupada indicated that this was a important part of the verse that I thought I shouldn't go off track so much. So we understand a little bit of background of information. At least one can put it in a database of information that we know a little bit more about interplanetary communication, right? That it somehow it's at least theoretically we can understand that there is much more to the understanding of how the whole planetary system works than we can even get, right? For us, usually it's quite difficult to understand outside our own sphere of understanding or experience. So, for example, as a child, even my first time going to India, I was like, oh, where am I? Because I went back to the village of where my parents grew up. I was not in some tourist place. I was like, whoa, why is it so dirty? Why are the people so relaxed here, but they have no money? Why is everything, It's also unusual, one cannot imagine. The homeless people looked also quite relaxed on the streets. This is all fine because the weather is quite warm. Now go back to where I grew up in London. The homeless people don't look so happy. They look mostly intoxicated and very cold, A different understanding of also what it is like to live in a renounced way of life as well. It's different, and this is just two different countries. What can one understand? I was, thank God, never in a place full of war. I've met people there was one Mataji who came from Ukraine, and she said to me, imagine you are, say, outside where we have our field there. Imagine it's your normal home. And then suddenly overnight, 15 army tanks arrive and are pointing at the building that you grew up in. And they're ready to fire off. And I was like, whoa, this is also an experience that I fortunately did not have. But again, one's perspective has changed. That was my home. That's what happened. One changes in terms of understanding, well, what is this life about? When they speak about Kali Yuga and material existence, one understands, okay, what is it? What is this planet that we live on? It's solid. Most of us in Europe, we used to, grew up here, this is where I'm from, and I can more or less do what I want. But in that war situation, one is forced, right? Forced to leave everything behind. My father came in we was traveling, he was in Uganda. So it also was the time of war. So it also changed overnight. The person in charge, King Idi Amin, like this, he was a dictator. And overnight he started to kill any non-nationals, they called it, anyone who was not African. So they heard about it, and my father said that he left the country before it got bad. I had a friend in London who didn't get out before it got bad, and for her it was usual to say people being killed in front of her on the street, right? This is like a reality of different parts. So we understand our degraded part of Mother Earth. We are lucky to live in a part which is not full of war, where that's not our daily presence. But sorry that it was negative side. But on the positive side, when we hear about the heavenly planets, we hear it's the other side, much more beautiful and opulent that goes here. That nobody is an atheist. It's a nobody. I can remember when I went to school quite some years back, and we said, who here believes in God? So there was over 30 students we had. And at that time, around 10 of us put our hands up. So already we were a minority in understanding who actually believes in God. That was, not in terms of a faith, but whether you believe in God or not. Already we understand here it's harder to go and to speak about it. But again, even when you get to places like Bhumaloka, it says we come back here again. So even the demigods want to be born here, so that they can have a chance to really become focus of Krishna consciousness and go back home to Godhead, which is also like amazing and crazy at the same time, right? That at this moment we're actually in a place where all is possible. When we are lucky in our own lives, I forget if it's in Sri Ushapano Nectar instruction, it is said that we could be even in a holy place like Vrindavan. But we could also be in hell due to our consciousness. Yeah? So actually it's not dependent always where we are in our physical space, but what's going on the inside. And that consciousness is the same consciousness that will bring us back to Krishna. Make sense? So right, we could be here. Say Robin or see Jayatam. I don't know if Jayatam you're still arriving from Berlin or you're yes, here I am by Lord Nishingadeva. Pooja, it's your first time here, huh? First time, huh? So where you are, whether you're like, whoa, or still, they say that actually it's not really possible for us to travel with our subtle being faster than horse and carriage. So when we make these travels, at least in this human body, it takes some time before the rest of us catches up. So it's like you come in and you arrive. Satchidananda Swami also talked about arriving here. What does it mean to arrive? What does it mean to arrive in the holy Dham? Simhachalam is the holy Dham. We've actually arrived at the perfect place. But have we arrived with our consciousness, right? Sometimes yes, but sometimes the consciousness is flicking in some many directions. Our main job is just to bring that consciousness, wherever it's going, back to the divine, back to wherever you are. It doesn't always mean a direct approach. The consciousness. There was one person here, I won't say a name because you're here in the room, but there was somebody who was cleaning this temple of the Lord, and without necessarily saying that they followed this faith, there was the consciousness to say, I'm cleaning, but the cloth that I'm using is very dirty. What should I do? But this is meant to be, she said, a place of God, a temple for the Lord. So could I please clean this cloth beforehand, before I use it? And we know our daily consciousnesses, we may be like, oh, okay, Subal, Gopal, O'Brien told me to clean. Here we go, right? Quickly, let's get it done. But actually to understand that our life is in this, living in this consciousness for the Lord, then we understand that actually we can travel. We can travel right far to the higher systems and below, right to the Lord where He resides in His eternal planet, simply with our consciousness. So that's a choice of our lives, where we push our consciousness. When a task is given to us, do we naturally think, God, I'm not getting paid for this. Why they make me do this? I don't want to do this. Or do we try to think, okay, somewhere or other I've chosen to be here. I've chosen to take up what is told to me as service. Let me try to understand what this precious gift is. Not too much of, if you cannot do it, if it's too much for you, yes, of course, one can go to Temple Commander and say, but the other point is that you can go to the Lord and go to Him. I've done it many times. Sorry, rushing it, it's a little bit beyond my capacity. Please help me. Please help me to fulfill. Today I was also thinking, Simamela's coming. We thought there would be 20. Now we're looking at close to 50 devotees. The number seems to be growing each day. One doesn't feel that one should say no. And it's amazing because it grew from nothing, and then somehow we begin a project, some may know it or not know it, that is the beginning of something beautiful amongst a community which is actually small in number. So behind it, we see that the Lord is working maybe, using us as instruments. Even when we sort of casually approach, okay, I have to speak to Puja to understand why they came. I came because someone wrote to me, or actually, well, maybe let's see what's going on. I think a lot of you just want to see what's going on. They think it's interesting. Oh, Jaitam, well, yeah? So there was nothing, but this is part of it too. This is how we bring people in. Or also just come to the temple. Just come up. We have some nice food there. We call it prasada. Come, we have nice food. You like music? You like dance? Come and dance in the temple. Come. You're more philosophical, university student. We have the greatest books. We have the greatest philosophers who've also read these books. Really, we can quote you from some. Please come and read them. It's all of this, but then how we are applying it in our lives. For me, it's so interesting. We are here. But what's going on? What do we do to go beyond our daily rhythm and our system, our daily, what's the word? Not just habits, but our inclinations. From the morning, pay obeisances. From the morning we say, okay, we wake up and half of us, do I have to get up yet? Do I have to come on? The alarm went off, do I have to get up? Today I was like that, and in that I prayed, but Lord, please get me up on time. And I'd forgot to put an alarm on, but I got in time, just at the right time, at 6, just after 6, to wake up the children. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's because I did the prayer. Otherwise, probably I might be still sleeping at this point. I don't know, never sleep that long. But at that moment, one understands, okay, what is happening? That consciousness of the Lord, please help me. Because I looked, I was like, wow, it was perfect timing. Everything worked out, but it wasn't my plan. My plan was already to be up an hour earlier, right? So therefore, in our approach to our Simha Mela, which begins tomorrow in our youth program, most of you seem to be in this category. The others will be there as supporting devotees. It's like, well, not just what's it here for me, but, well, what is it that we're doing here as a group? Huh? Why is it important? Why do we come here? Why is it important that we're here by Lord Nrsimhadev? By Lord Nrsimhadev's grace, he brings people. We have a small informal joke that the Lord brings a lot of youth here because he has Prahlad sitting on his lap. He obviously likes young people, huh? So he sits there. People of all ages come, but especially we are known as a temple which naturally has younger people. We are once, not so long ago, sitting in Ishtagoshti of like 40 people, and Ramananda and I were the oldest there. I don't consider myself so old, but but still, I was like, whoa, like what's going on here? So naturally there is a vibration of what there is. Now, the Lord maybe on earth does not empower us to make some spaceship just to travel to another planetary systems, but we have other ways. What other ways do we have of reaching the Lord then? My last question before we finish up. What ways do we have reaching the Lord without traveling with a spaceship? Robin? Crying for him, yeah. The Govinda Swami's famous quote says, if you cannot cry for the Lord, cry because you cannot cry for the Lord. It is beautiful, huh? Crying. So we can cry for him. But Robin, what do I do if I have 50 Simha Mela, Simha Sena devotees all crying for the Lord? Okay, what else can we do apart from crying for the Lord? What else? What else can we do? Stas? We can serve the Lord. How do you like to serve the Lord, Stas? He likes to wash pots. Huh? It's nice, I can quote also, there's this nice lecture from Radhanath Swami. Huh? When you wash the pots, they should smile for Krishna. There should be smile. This was his meditation when he was washing the pots. Huh?
The one your lecture, when you said it before, I tried.
You tried it? Ramananda, I think, can probably give you the lecture too, where it's really said like this. How Radhanath, you heard thank you, Stas. So this is the thinking behind it. Okay, so we have this. We have crying for the Lord. We have serving. What else can we do to reach the Lord? Prabhu, what's your name? Arjun. Yeah. Like Arjuna? Yeah. Arjun. Okay.
I think spiritual transcendence through constantly thinking about the Lord.
Of thinking of the Lord. And what can we do to always think of the Lord? Chant his name. So what do you mean? Like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna? Like this beats? Yeah. And? Kirtan. We will have a rocking 4-hour non-stop kirtan on Saturday, led by the Simha Sena. Ooh. It starts from Gaurati, finishes at 10:30. At night, so it will be because it's the momentum, right, from the fire yajna builds up naturally, and then they will continue. So kirtan, through the kirtan, we can try to reach the Lord. Kirtan is amazing because we have quite a lot of us to swift our way back to the Lord, to be carried on that transcendental sound, both internally and externally. So great. Okay, so we have 3. Something from the ladies here. How can we get back? How can we travel back to the Lord? Can you translate? Because spread his knowledge. How do we do that, Kishore Kun? Wie machen wir das? Oh, yes. We have to, Simha Mela, we have quite something to do this week, and we also have to distribute books. So we have to cry for him, serve, that's on the plan, the chanting and kirtan, then spread the knowledge. We will find out how that goes. We will do it a little bit, what's the word? In an adventurous way, don't worry. What else? What can we do? Our Heidi is making a hat, hopefully, for the Lord. For Prabhupada. Yes, what I mean? For Prabhupada. Yeah, for Prabhupada. So this is very intimate service in one sense. She sits very quietly. But imagine that too. Also, there is some time and space where we look to make something which is personal for us. I was telling her that 30, 40 years back, crochet, I think we call it, was very normal. But in my generation, it was already gone. It was already finished. And now when the new generation comes back, she's not the first young person that I see making with crochet. I have a whole bag that a 20-year-old said she made. I should have brought it, actually. It's very nice. So we have different ways of serving the Lord more intimately, too. Don't forget the one-to-one connection. One thing about coming together, apart from kirtan. What's going to happen? When many... Urava. What's going to happen? I mean, it's a very obvious thing, actually. What? Association, right? We're going to meet people. So Simha Mela, in our humble beginnings, looks at trying to form connections with other people. A lot of people don't know each other. Even this Cologne group don't know, many of them don't know each other. So it's not that they come so they don't know each other. So many things will be done in order to try to build sort of deeper relationships with each other. It can be said, not really in a temple. In temple, we get to know each other quite well, I would say, because we see each other in different moods, So, and Simhachalam is known as quite a family spirit, so it's like the highs and lows, right? Generally speaking. I've seen also, a few of you doing good and not so good, but we in a journey together. But sometimes in a festival, quite a few of young people say you're in a festival and you're like, hi, Hare Krishna. Yeah. And then that's it, really, You may take a number, but mostly not. So the point also behind the Simha Mela is to actually, for devotees, to connect with each other. It's almost like the background talk beforehand, To actually see because there's hopefully enough people. It's not that we connect with everyone, but enough people that we can find some people that we find a connection with and a spiritual connection, huh? No, beyond she's wearing the same color sari, or he's also a carpenter. Like this, the connection which links us spiritually. Why is this association very important? This association. Why is it important to have people that we connect with spiritually on the path? Kishori Kunpik. Oh, she's on a different point. I love Kishori Kun. So she talks about, if you don't understand, about protecting the animals. Very good. Very nice point. And Robin, what is the importance of...
Remember each other, and that we can have the potential to serve, to support each other on the path. And now to quote the Jesus thing, Jesus said, when people are coming together in my name, it will be under them.
When people are coming, yes, it's the same, right? When people come in the name of the Lord, then he'll be under them. We also have a lot in our movement about finding seniors that will give us shelter, or other where we help others who are maybe very new. We begin to emphasize a little bit the middle group, which is the level of friendship. So this is the point too, like somehow it seems outside people can make friends and this, but within the movement this level of friendship is a bit more trickier, because they say sometimes it's a little bit of the rubbing of the egos type, because you're not saying, I tell you, and you're not saying, okay, please tell me. You're trying to find a compromise, cooperation, see how it goes together. I'll help you sometimes, you help me, like this. So it's like a deepening of things. Sometimes as spiritualists we can become a little bit insular, a little bit on our own, you know. So it's nice when we have friends, we open that up. Through serving one another, we also serve the Lord, right? So this is our way. And mostly I will just say from experience, when you have deep friendships, deep relationships within the movement, it will help you so much on your path. There will be times, right, that don't go so well. They're the times when you need that friend, not that surface level person, right? That person who say, hey, it's not going good. I'm not sure about this. I don't know. Until you ring that person who gets you and says, yeah, I was also like that, you know. Come on, let's try it, or let's just take some prasad together. Stas?
I also want to say that the mood here is it's like motivated to be good. I heard that there's a difference between the association here creates this Vaishnava culture
Yeah.
Vaishnava culture is good to serve,
not to take. And if everybody has that mood to serve, then it's balanced, right? But if you decide to serve and the other person will just take from you because they haven't got it, then you may end up a little bit like this. So this is the point of friendship, to learn, to give and to take, right? This mood to sort of, and not be like, well, I gave you and you didn't give anything back to me. No. This is the point, to give and then to see. Whereas a like-minded person who can also reciprocate sometimes too. This is on the friendship level. So we see how it goes. We try, right? But there's some thoughts behind it too. And the thoughts also that the first time we didn't want it to be a huge camp, because then sometimes we can also lose one another in that, but that there are some ways of connecting with one another. Nice. So I wish you a very good Simha Mela coming up and a good few days ahead, and encourage all of you, also temple devotees, to take part also with it, and hopefully you have some fun spiritual experiences along the way. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. I think we answered, there's no questions, I guess. Kishori Kund is our grandmother.